don't have to change your name if it doesn't contradict the deen. But at the time, I knew it was going to be strange being called Christian in the, in the masjid. I knew that people would be weirded out by that. So my mom named me Christian, because she wanted me to follow Christ, alayhi salam. So I said, I'd like to change my name to Isa because of those reasons. So he asked my boy, he said, why, do you want to change your name? He goes, yeah. He said, Yusuf. I said, why? He said, because I'm handsome. So, you know what I mean? So, alhamdulillah, everybody's laughing, and, it was a good feeling. Obviously, it was weird to be hugged by over 60 men. That was strange, we're not used to hugging like that. And then, seeing grown men crying. And I remember coming out the masjid, and it was like a humongous weight off my shoulders. I know it sounds, can sound corny, but, the sky looked different. I mean, I remember looking at the sky, I was like, wow, stars. I remember, because they have an apartment complex right next to the masjid, and we're walking, and I see on the second floor a brother praying. And I'm like, man, Muslims pray like that? Like, did we just pray and they're praying some more? I was like, wow, this is the greatest thing, I knew I was on the truth. And throughout this process, and becoming Muslim, and finishing this off, and again reminding you guys of the importance of not feeling shy if you're not from someone's background that you don't feel like you can benefit them. The people that came through my path and helped me develop as a Muslim were people that I would never have hung out with, never thought, I probably would never met, except that I became Muslim. The first teacher that I had was a brother who was doing his residency in Houston, Dr. Ayub. Grew up in Kuwait, but from Indian descent. He didn't understand from where I was coming from. He didn't understand the background that I lived. But he understood that Isa had some passion to learn his deen. So he took me under his wing, and he showed me the people around the community who were teaching, Tajweed, who were teaching about the basics of Islam. He always was encouraging me. And that's someone that I always make dua for, because he was the catalyst for me wanting to learn. Having someone like Joe Bradford, who was one of my closest friends, so a white brother who grew up in Jacksonville, Florida, became Muslim when he was 15. He was the first American to do his master's in fiqh in Medina. I could never have one white people. I used to think they were devils. That's what I believed, seriously. I used to hate white people. And I never thought I would have a white friend. And here, by Allah's permission, hanging out with him and meeting a few other white brothers, Allah, and solely from Allah, took that hatred out of my heart. And I benefited so much from the brother to this day. He still lives, he lives in Houston now as well. And he was someone who not only helped me, but his wife helped my wife in her development. His wife was not American, she's from Guyanese descent. But she did help my wife grow in her deen. I'm other close friends to this day. But it was people that, not necessarily related to our background, but because they cared, because they gave a minute to help us out, it made a difference in our life. I mean, the people that have come through in my life, brothers and sisters, that have helped me by Allah's permission. I think about this hadith all the time because I imagine, subhanAllah, like Brother Imam, he has never made Hajj, never made Umrah. But inshallah, because he invited me to Islam, all the times that I made Umrah, by Allah's permission, all the times that I made Hajj, every time I prayed in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, every time I prayed in the Haram, in Masjid Quba, inshallah, he got the reward. Because he invested a little time in somebody that was a knucklehead at the time. Brother Joe, Dr. Ayub, catalyst for me to wanting to learn the deen. Just teaching my children something. Just my children. If I never taught anybody anything, but my children took something on, inshallah, the things that they taught me, subhanAllah, they will get the reward. Just investing in people. So, sometimes, we hear about people becoming Muslim. It's nice stories and it's good. It reminds us of, appreciating our faith. Those who are converts, it reminds us of the day that we accepted Islam. for the brothers and sisters who are Muslim, born Muslim, inshallah, hopefully it helps you appreciate your deen a little bit more. But at the same time, never forget those people that are outside who, Friday night, especially, y'all know, y'all live right by the college, it's on Friday, Saturday night. But you don't know how many people, like I was at a party, will come out and be like, man, I need to change my life. It always happens. People come out of those things. You don't know who wants to change. You never know that you see them on a Sunday morning or Monday morning. They're having, you don't know what you may do. You don't know what you may say that might change their lives. Or someone coming to Islam. You don't know what effect you may have on them. And then, alhamdulillah, through my process, I had the opportunity I've been working with the youth in Houston for over 16 years. And it's been very therapeutic for me, and it's helped me improve as a parent. Because I didn't grow up Muslim. I wasn't born Muslim, meaning born in the sense of raised as a Muslim. We're all born on the deen, but our parents lead us to other paths, as the Prophet ﷺ said. But the key thing is, it taught me how to, now that my daughter is 15 and the other one is 14 and the other one is 12, right? That it helped me and it's helping me know how to deal with them a little bit better. So even when it comes to helping the youth out and assisting them throughout this community, I'm sure they need some help. Involving yourselves. I'm not saying y'all not, just for those who are, may Allah reward you. And I know we're all busy. We could say we're busy all the time. We got X amount of classes. We have, our research papers. Maybe some of us may have work. I always remind the people, I don't know if anybody's here doing 23, 24 hours like we were doing in Medina, 8 to 9 to 11 subjects. If you're not doing that much, you have time. You know what I mean? You have some time. And that's what we were pulling over there. And the land is just out of our own, right? By Allah's permission. And I'm not saying y'all not busy. I'm saying that if you look at your schedule, there might be some time out of your day to say, maybe I could dedicate some time to helping the youth, or let's see what we can do with commerce that are coming in our community, or whatever the case may be. And if you're doing that, Allah reward you. It's just a reminder. But again, investing in people, you never know how you may change your life. You don't know just a small dua that you teach to somebody, and they teach their children, and they teach their grandchildren. I remember I was in Hajj, and I'll stop with this. My first time going to Hajj, before I went to Medina, I sneezed. And I said, Alhamdulillah. The brother said, Yarhamukullah. And I didn't reply back because I didn't know there was a reply. So the 8th day in Mina, you have a lot of time to just, read and reflect. From Dhuhr to Asr, he taught me how to say, Yahdikumullah wa yuslih balakum. Patient. I'll never forget that brother Ibrahim. Never. And I always used to call him and remind him, SubhanAllah, man, every time I teach my children or teach someone that, you get the reward. Even, inshallah, you're dead in the grave, and there's someone who learned it from me, inshallah, you'll still get the reward. Something small like that. SubhanAllah, how Allah gives us the opportunities to invest in the good. And that always should encourage us, it should always motivate us to keep that positive attitude. Because no doubt, the college life and living around here, I'm sure is tough, to say the least. But at the same time, SubhanAllah, you have, the golden message of Islam. You have something that's a treasure that will change people's lives. So with that, this is just a brief overview of, my life to a certain degree. Inshallah, I ask Allah to accept and to bless us all and encourage us to continue to grow as Muslims and be patient with each other and forgive us of our sins and bless us all with paradise. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Subhanallah wa bihamdik. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments or have you in this book. Oh, okay, somebody does have one. Go ahead, please. You can start.
I'll just come back here next. So when you invite somebody to Islam and you tell them that Allah is one, He has the right to obey and worship, and you send them the preference. And if they perchance say, okay, it sounds okay, but they don't accept it nor do they deny it, what steps did you take from there?
It depends on the situation. So the question is, if you're inviting someone to Islam and they pretty much agree upon the first, pillar in general, but they're not ready to submit, you could go different depending on your relation with the person. For example, if it's just someone like you have a dial table, or you have someone you just kind of a colleague you're talking to, you see someone, excuse me, someone that you see here and there, then you should always, remind them, and I'm sure you guys do this, remind them that the masjid is here, and that if you have any more questions, that you can tell them, like, usually I'm here between this time and that time, for example, or a few of the college students are here who may be able to assist if you have any more questions. Now, if it's someone that you have a decent relationship with, you see him all, here and there, or you see him in class a lot, you can approach it a few different ways. One of the ways is, encouraging him to listen to something. So look, you don't mind, just to get more clarification, whenever you have time, here's a YouTube video, or here's a CD, or what have you. And then give them some time to listen to it, or hear, or watch it. And then maybe 2-3 weeks down the line, you may ask, did you ever watch that show? And you'll know by the reaction if they were really trying to find out about it or not. If you see that they felt a bit embarrassed, they hadn't had the time, but they want to, then you give a little bit of time. If someone's like kind of blows you off, right at the end of the day, you make dua for them, and you never know when that. So many times, like I said, like when I was 14, when I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, somebody it was a non-Muslim who introduced me to it, right? I didn't know 5 years down the line that I would be accepting Islam, but it was a catalyst for me to look into Islam. And so many people who accepted Islam can tell you that it was something that someone did a few years ago, a few months ago, someone gave me a message, right? And then someone else came and basically finished off finish off the sale for you, basically. He sold it for you. But you were the catalyst for that. So sometimes it's just a reading people. You're into learning psychology, so you know what I mean? No, I'm just saying, so you're reading someone's reactions and say, he seems like, just back off, Then you just make dua, say, anytime that you have any question, I'm still here. And then, you take it from there. But you don't want everyone to be too pushy, because it could either have that person just not want to hear it at all, and not ever want to hear another Muslim again, or they might feel pressure. I've seen this a few times, where brothers would be surrounded. I've seen this in U of H one time. They surrounded this Vietnamese guy. I felt bad for him, because like 8 guys on him. They got all really excited. It was like coming back and forth. It's like, back off. It's 8 of y'all. You know what I mean? It's like, it's already intimidating enough to see, one bearded guy, now you got 8 bearded guys surrounding him. And I was joking with them, but just understand, a lot of times we don't realize that, those who came from a non-Muslim background, we don't understand the mentality. So a lot of times, being a bit, knowing the other, how to deal with certain non-Muslims and then their background and things of that nature. So there's psychology behind that as well. So that would be my approach. It's just one angle, one perspective. I don't know if there's anything else.
I have a
Yes,
question
sir.
for you. You say you're from El Salvador, right?
Yes, sir.
¿Tú sabes español, sí o no?
Mi primer idioma,
Okay.
lo hablé con mi mamá.
So how, when you became in Islam, how did you deal with the effect of, how can I put it, of the culture? Meaning like Latinos is open-minded to numerous of things.
Yeah.
They're less racist than the gringos is open things up. Put it that way. Okay. How do you address that far as, still listening to your mom talk about, Christ in that way?
That's a good question. I mean, at first, my parents were, let me show them over to them. Specifically, my mother how she approached it with my older sisters, they went to pray for me because I rejected Jesus Christ from their viewpoint. Alayhi salam. My father thought he watched too many, I tell people he watched too many Chuck Norris movies, right? Delta Force and all that stuff. So he thought I was just gonna be a terrorist. So I remember talking to my dad. I said, look, you raised me to read. You always reading the Fidel books and all that stuff. You taught me how to read and to be open-minded. You think I'm gonna go into something to become a quote-unquote terrorist? I just had to talk to him in that manner. A lot of my family members were like, I felt bad for my parents because they were like, oh, you didn't teach him Catholicism. So with all of that, family members didn't want to have me talk to my cousins anymore, who I grew up with. It's like, no, if you don't talk to them about Islam, I'm like, no, I just want to say, what's up? No, you're Muslim, don't talk to me. Right? All right. That's, I wasn't going to sit there and try to argue with my aunt who, changed my diet. I mean, I wasn't going to go there with that. At first, though, I have to give props to my family that, especially my mother, and she was patient with me. Because I came hardcore, man. I came up in the house, because I accepted Islam in October, right? December was Christmas. I said, Mom, Bible was saying about the Christmas tree, we can't have it. I was quick. I didn't think about how I was telling my mom. Couldn't hit me upside my head. So she was like, okay, son, I understand it's true, it's not. So she didn't put up the tree the first time. My sisters were livid. How are you going to listen to the Muslim guy? This is Christmas. All right, he doesn't have to be around. So, they were patient with me though. I was going to my mom's church literally was next door to where we were living. So I would go and start debating. I thought it was the next coming of Ahmadiyya. Just go out and debate the priest and all that stuff. So my family, and going back to the question about the culture, at first a lot of the family was a little bit surprised. They were a little bit standoffish. And it wasn't until I started telling them about how, specifically the language, right? There's so many words in the Spanish language that come from Arabic. I said, what do you think? I said, how do you say shirt in Arabic? They're like, I don't know. So how do you say it in Spanish? Camisa. Arabic's camisa. Pants, pantalon. Sugar, sugar. Arroz, arroz. They would start freaking. It was too much for them at first. Oh, God. That's stupid. I don't know. They're the Arab. They're like the Arab thing. They just ignored it, like whatever. Then after a while, there were certain statements that they would say, like slang that they would use, that was connected to the, like for example, they had a statement that when something was up, they would say, look, the Arabs are coming in Spanish. And why was that? It was because that was a statement that the Spaniards would use when the Arabs were coming into Andalusia. So that's something that came all the way to El Salvador. It was just a saying like someone's being nosy, like someone's coming up, pay attention, keep game, right? And I used to laugh, like, you see, even in that, there's a connection to Arabic, Islam, and things of that nature. So, I started mentioning, the way that we believe in. Once I told them how we believe in Jesus Christ, alayhi salam, that's when it really changed for them. Like, wow, yeah, you can see that you don't believe in your Lord and Savior, but you do honor Him and love Him and respect Him. Yes. And, when they found out that I took the name Isa, that even gave a lot more respect. So, from the religious culture aspect, they were a lot more receptive. It wasn't until later on when they started to see that, I wasn't, obviously I didn't drink or smoke and things like that. And they saw, a lot of my cousins still do that. They were like, it was hard for them to admit, like, Islam did good for you. It took you away from the bad aspects of our culture. A lot of partying, a lot of drinking. Not all Latinos do that, but even just chilling, they do drink and things like that. So it's like, you don't do that anymore. And you can see that you and your family are a lot more comfortable than a lot of our family. So I usually tell, a lot of the new Muslims that, we're always trying, learn from my mistakes, not being a, hardcore, rough kind of person and trying to shove Islam down people's throats and being patient with your family, because a lot better than being, to have a patient mother and father and sisters and aunties and uncles. And the way that you invite your family to Islam is by the action. You know what I mean? That's key. Birrul walidain, being good to your parents. There's nothing like that, man. There's nothing like honoring. And sometimes my mom and dad were a little bit weirded out, especially my mom, like, you're overdoing it. You know, because I would be washing, like men, you know, I don't say all Latino men, but many Latino men don't go to the kitchen, right? Like, you stay out, we do this. So I'm like, you know, Mom, don't worry about I'm washing the dishes. Oh, get out of here. No, get out of here. So okay, let me respect her that way, you know, by the way that I honor is by listening to her. She doesn't want me to wash the dishes because that's just not from her culture. You know, men just, I'm not saying that's right, it's just what it's how it is. So, you know, things like that really made an effect. And also even from my mother-in-law's side, who's African American, from the South, a very successful woman who came from, poor town, poor city in Beaumont, Texas. And I mean, she was rough on us. I mean, she was at the point where, you know, the sunnah is to shave the baby's hair at 7 days. Yeah, when she saw that, she called CPS on us. Children players, yeah, she freaked out. God, you abusing the children? Man, I'm like, man, cops coming to my house and were abusing my first baby girl. Who called? Well, we can't answer, we can't mention it. And then finally we found out it was my mother-in-law. Man, you know what I mean? And my mother-in-law, I mean, man, she was rough. You can curse in Islam and things like that. And Allah blessed me with a patient wife because my wife wouldn't say anything. I'd be like, defend the deen, you know? She'd be like, just no point. Just, you know, don't, you know, you're disrespecting. But she's disrespecting. Who's older? You know, and she's right, you know. But again, throughout time, it changed where my mother-in-law finally admitted. She came to us one time when we came back from Medina. She was like, please forgive me because I tried to file for divorce. Try to divorce you guys. And it was hard for me to see Islam changing your life. And alhamdulillah, you know, it's still rough at times. You know, she'll throw in her little curveballs there. But you know, still give her a kiss and make dua for her. I don't know, maybe Thomas has to finish. Oh, sister. Yes, sister.
So I'm recently converted to Islam.
Sure. Congratulations.
And I've been having like hard times. I'm not trying to like force Islam onto my family or anything, but they think that everything I say that I'm trying to change them, and like I don't know how to like approach like how to like step back. Like, should I not say anything? Should I just try to put in the little things like here and there to my family so that they know the deen? Or like, it's really hard for me to talk to my family because I'm not trying to change their ways. I just want them to know what I'm learning, and then they take it way different. It's really hard sometimes.
No, I could imagine. And I used to see that with some of my closer friends when they would try to talk to their parents about Islam. My mom